All right. And you may proceed. You may go again. All right. This is what I have found, the only one I've found. This is the earliest known registration label. It's from February 1st, 1909. And it was that was the first date of the first labels. And then those labels were completely perforated all around. The earliest ones were perforated all around, starting in 1909. All right, proceed. And here are and it's too bad we can't do this because you got to go back down, but yeah. There were three different kinds of labels: the perforated all around, the coil, which we'll see in the middle, which is obviously looks like a coil stamp, and then the imperf, and the coil ones were introduced in 1930, and the imperf ones were introduced in the 1980s. So proceeding to the next page, which you don't have, but I will explain it to you. I have found some what I call manuscript town added labels, and I think they were once certain towns ran out of their labels, they took the labels from Hamilton, which all they said on them was Bermuda, and they sent them out to the various towns that ran out. And between 1920 and 1929, and that included Bailey's Bay, Flats, Harrington Sound, Mangrove Bay, St. George's West, and Warwick West. And the ones I own are the only ones I've ever seen. And I've asked other people. I've asked Horst for any of them. I've asked other people for them, and they haven't found any. So, and I think I have 16 of them from the various towns. So continuing on, Hamilton, as you can see everybody can read what it says. There are 24 different labels. Some were in sheet form and some were in coil form. And I don't need to go any further than that. You may proceed. And then these are the GP from the General Post Office, Hamilton. Those tended to be later, starting in 1941 and going right up to 2002 when they ceased doing labels anymore. Next page, please. Only 6 different label types from the GPO, the official labels. And you may continue. And then they have the BPO, which stands for, and I'm drawing a blank right now, Bermuda Post Office official labels. And all these official ones tend to be in the 70s and 80s and later. You may continue. Oh, one thing I should have started with, the reason that got me into this was Brad Arch back in 1993. I don't know if who knew Brad Arch or who has ever heard of him, but he published a 24-page book on the Bermuda registration labels. And back in about 2000, Phoebe McGilvery said, "Do you want to buy his remaining copies? And I'll also sell you the rights to publish the new version." And I said, sure. And so I bought it. And ever since then, 25 years later, of course, you see what's been printed. I've been working on this, and I've actually started working more on it. And so his book was the one that got me started. And just as of his book, for those of you that have it, I have found since then, I've found 56 new labels, and of the dates he had, I've found 22 new earliest known dates. So here's the Bermuda Philatelic Bureau. As you can see, that's 1993 was the earliest one, and that's in imperf. You may continue. Is Bermuda government offices. There's only four of those, and there was only one coil and three different imperfs of those. And you may continue. Here again is the private business organizations is what I determined that one is, and there again, that was from 1987 to the last one known was 1997. And airmail, general post office, and there's a nice 2 shilling modeled on cover with that. And the newest one I found was down in the lower right there. He did not have any of Ireland Island, and I found one with Ireland Island. And so, and then of course the one in the middle there, some of them were hand stamped in red, and that's it. And you may continue. And then this is an interesting one. The cover um, on the right actually had the label printed right onto the customs declaration, and as it says, it's what does it say? Parcel post. I can't read the Hamilton, Bermuda, and it was actually printed on that. And the other one on the other side was another parcel post. Oops, what's happening here? I'm getting something happening here that and so those two are particularly interesting, the parcel post, because there's only 3 different ones that I've found. You may continue. Okay, now we get to Bailey's Bay, and it's too bad I couldn't pull this up, but if going on the old PowerPoint here, if you notice the one in the lower right, this is that cover right there where they actually added Bailey's Bay or B-Bay to the label. The Bermuda label by itself, Bailey's Bay apparently ran out of them, and they asked for more labels, and they were sent these, and they wanted people to know it was from Bailey's Bay, so they hand wrote it in. And I haven't found any others other than the towns I've found, which include Bailey's Bay. You may continue. And his crawl, which has a few, nothing really earth shattering there. It did have sheet versions, coil versions, and imperfect versions. And you may continue on that one. And Devonshire North. Now, in this case, Devonshire North, I have found 4 new labels that weren't in his book. And that's the listing with the 4 different labels were all new. He didn't have any pictured. Next page, please. Then there's, of course, this Devonshire South. There again, there's 10 different labels, of which 4 of them were new to Brad Archer's book. And the next one is Devonshire, just plain Devonshire, no north or south. There again, it's rather interesting to note that they had Devonshire all the way back in 1914, and they ran all the way up to 2000, which was 2002 being the last year. And the next one is Flats. Now, Flats, apparently, unfortunately, I can't show you that, but Flats has that I have found 3 different dates of. They added the word Flats to the Hamilton. One was in 1920, and one in 1921, and one in 1927, and so they apparently ran out of labels in each of those years. I don't know how many. I could probably find out, but I don't know how many registrations were done in each of these towns. Next one, please. And here's Harrington Sound. And there again, on this one, I had found 4 new labels since Brad Archer's book. And the next one, the next page, which you don't have, is Harrington Sound had 2 different dates on manuscripts being added, and I have some. Unfortunately, if you guys can't see them, some lovely tercentenary covers with, like even on 1 shilling solo on cover with but that is that. And Ireland Island, nothing was really very special about Ireland Island. It's just was straightforward. 11 different labels. Now, when I say different labels, there were all sorts of different typefaces. Some were all caps. Some were, caps and lowercase. Some were, the names were just shifted in regards to, like for instance, Hamilton would be shifted so the B was under the A, and in some cases maybe the B was under the H, and so each of those I count as a different label. This is Ireland Island, okay, and that Mangrove Bay is next. And there again, if you look in the lower left on this one, you can see where they've handwritten in Mangrove Bay in 1924. Now that apparently was when they ran out of labels. All right, the next page is Paget, and nothing very special with Paget. And then the next one is Paget East. There again, if you notice the difference here, like the one on the left, it says Paget E Bermuda, and the one on the right says Paget East Bermuda. So I don't know who was in charge of coming up with typesetting on these, but it makes interesting to find different ones. The next page is Paget West, and there again, there's only 3 labels, and they're all early. If you notice that on the dates, the earliest one I found is 1926, and the latest one is 1931. So they did not continue very far with those. Now, next one. Now, this is interesting. I have never found a Pembroke North registered cover. I've seen the label because in what I bought from Phoebe, there were some sample labels, but for some reason, a picture appeared in something I had that said 1987, so I chose that as the earliest date, and up to 1992. But I don't have those covers. I have seen them, but I don't have them. So let's go to the next page. And this is Perot. Everybody's familiar with the Perot post office. Well, they had 5 different labels starting in 1981 up to 1990. And the next page, this is the most interesting one. And I have never seen this cover, though I know it exists, and I know the person that sent a letter to Brad Arch stating that he had it was Hap Pattis, and he said, "Has anyone else ever found this before?" And somebody at the St. David's post office wrote that in, and that was from 1930. I've never seen another cover that with St. David's on it, except till you get go to the next page, please. Except when you get later along in 1981, but that was printed as St. David's Island. So you may proceed. And then of course there's St. George's, and fortunately I have the one on the lower left there. It shows it's St. George's manuscript written in red. It also they also wrote it in black too. I've noted that up above. And so that makes St. George's. Now the next one is St. George's West, and in this case, they had St. George's West written in red in the lower left there, you can see. And that was, and of course, there was only, it only existed in St. George's West from 1912 to 1936. There again, they obviously ran out of labels. And go to the next slide. And here's Somerset Bridge, which is just a straightforward 1931 to 2002. They ran all the way to the end. And then the next one is Southampton. Nothing earth-shattering there. And so the next one is Southampton East. And there again, there were four new labels that I did find, since and see from 1929 to 35 was an earlier label, and they stopped. I don't know what happened to Southampton East after that, but they did not use any more labels. So the next one's Southampton West, and there again, nothing earth-shattering there. And then the next ones are Warwick, and there were two new labels that I recently found. And then the next one is Warwick East, and there again, 1923 to 28 for that one. And the last one is Warwick West, and they did have two that I did find two manuscript ones, one from 1922 and one from 1929. You can see the one from 29 there. And that is it. Now there are a total of, if you go to the next slide, there is a total of, now my date says 285 there. There's actually a date, 290 different types of registration labels from 34 different post offices and government offices. And the most interesting ones to me right now are those manuscript ones. So if anyone knows of any or has any, and I'd be happy to look at them. So that is it.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Let me
And I apologize for this not working.
apologies.